Alright, well, today we've got a unique little project. I brought you in pretty midstream my air compressor. Pretty good size, 20 gallon, 240 volt air compressor. It's got normal motorcycle / car type pistons. Older one, I think it's a 1982 when they built them correctly. But anyhow, this is a double cylinder, sleeved. I've taken the crankshaft out, took some pictures of it and everything. I've cleaned this up real well in good cleaning solution. And it actually broke one of the bolts. This rod I've already reconditioned it, but it actually broke one of the bolts, and I had to from the rod side, not the cap, the rod side, I had to drill it out. You can see where it's kind of wallard looking, where I have to drill beside it and remove the, versus this side. You can tell which side I had to remove the bolt from. Anyhow, it broke it, and it severely damaged the journal and the one on the rod as well. But one on the rod I've already reconditioned. I'm just using like an emery cloth wrap on a drill. And what I'm doing is I've got a screw on the inside. I ran it through this shaft, and I wind enough emery cloth around to get several thousandths out of it. Man, I've taken a considerable amount out of this one right here, and believe it or not, what we're going to do, and it should be reliable. Back before I was ever live, Model T's, Model A's, and even up to currently, some people will take them cross country, go up mountains, do this and that with them, and pretty reliable repair job is stop, pull the oil pan off, drop the bearing, drop the rod cap off, and slide a piece of this guy up in there. Yeah, your Red Wing or some type of pretty high quality boot leather. This right here, this is a piece of a tired old Red Wing boot. You don't want a piece of shit. You want something pretty reasonable. You don't want a bunch of glue on it. You want to pick you out, cut your boot up, and pick out a nice piece. But once it gets oil soaked and gets turning on this polished crankshaft, well, they claim they can be reliable for many thousands of miles, or in, as far as this goes, quite a while in an air compressor. And there's no combustion happening in an air compressor, so theoretically it should do pretty good. But I figured we'd take a look real quick and just take an idea. I don't have a machine shop, and I don't even know tolerances or anything. I'm a damn good mechanic, and I can make shift as much shit as I need to get by usually. So I'm gonna mic this. This is the bad journal that actually broke it. This other one was on its way out, which I'm working on right now, as you can see, with the emery cloth in there. So this one here, this is the one that was still operable, and it mics out. It's micing out at 28.8, looks like 28.5. We'll call it 28.5. And this one here, she was a little bit below that, 28.3. So they're both on. This one's definitely, I gotta refinish both of them. Not so much the one that's not bad. It's a little grooved up. It's one that got burned. Yeah, definitely got to do some work on it. But so we were at 28.3. Now these don't have an actual bearing in them. They're just a aluminum rod that's finished to the crankshaft itself, and the rod serves the purpose of a bearing. And when you break it in, it breaks in with the oil and everything, and they just end up running together. Now, just to give you an example of how much I've taken out of this, we're at 28.3. I'm assuming I've taken, man, many thousandths out of this one. It was damaged pretty severely. See, I'm at 30.3 millimeters. Yeah, and that should be consistent all the way around. Yeah, see, that means I did it in round. Yeah, I can check it anywhere and it stays 30.3. That means I did a good job with a fucking drill too. And it's not as rocket science as they want you to believe it is. I'm a good mechanic, and a lot of good mechanics lie to you, but I'm not gonna lie to you. That's why I'm putting this video out there on the internet, so that people quit fucking lying to you. Use your head and just use good tools and spend a little money, and you can save yourself a lot of money a lot of times, especially if you got somebody that's honest and throwing some good tutorials out there for you. Anyhow, so we were at 30.3. That we'll just gauge that at millimeters. We'll get I'll get a reading on that, and we'll switch this over to inches. So we'll call that 1.11 inches. And 1.18 inches. So that's 7/100ths of an inch, which doesn't sound like much, but that's a pretty considerable bite out of a piece of metal. You can see, if you look real closely here, so I can get this focused in good. Let's see, this line right here where I'm showing you. If you look, there's only, we'll just make it simple. There's that's at 5.5 millimeter, and this one, which I've just started, so I've not taken a lot of meat out of it. Just give you an example of how much meat I had to take out. It took quite a while. That's 5.5 millimeter, so I'm assuming this is going to be about 6.5. Or yeah, 6.7 millimeter. So I took like 1.2, 1.3 millimeter out of one side of this. So it, you know, as a total, that's just one side. So several millimeters, and you can even see how beefy this one here that I have not done the work on is in comparison to how much I had to ream out, this other one out. Pretty considerable. You can see the thickness difference, so trying to get this where you can see the thickness difference. She's gotten pretty thin over on that side. This has got a lot of meat. See the big line around the inside? This has all been ground away. This is how damaged that journal was. I was running this air compressor, getting ready to do a little bit of paint work, and well, I just recently purchased this thing, and well, it wasn't what it was cracked up to be, and that extra noise wasn't just extra noise, it was my crankshaft going out.